beaming into your mind like a ray of cosmic revelation, smashing through the mainstream like a comet of prophecy. You're listening to Planet Vrilock, your podcast for everything super, psionics and Magick tech. Yes, welcome to my show, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's podcast is about healing an entire planet. You know, in the span of our rather short lives, I believe most every person on this planet has at least once in their lifetime experienced someone showing them compassion and gratitude. Even in the most brutal, thuggish, and hard life, most people have encountered a light in the soul of someone who comes into their lives to show them the way, or step in during a time of hardship or dire need. I propose a question tonight. Could it be that this compassion, that love and gratitude, is actually a frequency? Can it be measured? More importantly, can it be captured, frozen like a moment in time, like a photograph? And by extension, via psionics, can that memory be projected as a frequency into the real world? Well, consider the amazing research and experiments of the late Dr. Masaru Emoto. Dr. Emoto explored the mystery of the hidden messages in water having to do with water exhibiting responses to frequency, words, and even to a variety of music. I should say that water exhibited intelligent responses to frequency, words, and a variety of music. All of these with verifiable repeatability in Dr. Emoto's test of working with water and vibration. Now, in my personal life, for some years now, I have used Dr. Emoto's photographs of his crystallized water molecules for remote spiritual soothing operations, environmental mental projection into our oceans, land, and cities around the planet. But this is not something I can do all on my own, trying to spread good vibes. I need you. Therefore, I am going to share my knowledge with you listening tonight in hopes that you might join me in a combined effort, much like Captain Planet's Planeteers would have done if they were real. Nothing up this sleeve, and nothing up this sleeve. Now come with me into the magical world. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let us begin. Those of my following whom have had the good fortune to be acquainted with my life story, living abroad, traveling, residing in Arabia and Japan. Many of you already are aware of my intensive research and work in the area of miracle working, power of prayer, and advanced meditation, and of course, my psychotronics work. You know, it wasn't until very recently that I earned a series of honorary doctorates in meditation, psychotronics, Last but not least, technical authoring. I'm currently working on a series of essays for a PhD in metaphysics. And all of this has been made possible by the compassion of one man who has been my fan, a follower, now a colleague and good friend, and he's followed my work possibly as far back as 2009, all the way up to now. And it was in 2009 when I first disclosed my experiences, having worked a talent called kinesis, which is similar to telekinesis, but it's an ability to interact mentally and remotely with forces that are already in motion, sometimes with objects that are electronic or mechanical, and falling into the area of telemechanics, and particularly at the micro level of existence. But I have also had experiences in the macro level, where my mind can reach out to celestial bodies, having experiences of feeling the passing by of asteroids between the Earth and the Moon, followed by visions of these events. With the blessings of my good brother, esoteric master, man who's been working magic in the occult since the early 1970s, a colleague and a true friend, Dr. Jose Abreu, I intend to show you my appreciation for these honoraries by continuing to share my findings with the general public in the area of psychical research, truth about magical operations, and the much shadowed study of the occult teachings, where my experiences and my efforts have yielded results significant enough to be brought forward for the public reference, intellectual debate, and, of course, academic criticism. I welcome these all. Though I believe my real mission here will be to help steer our future in the right direction, where at some point in the hopefully near future, every person on this planet will be more actively involved in the decision-making, the rebuilding for our environment, possibly our laws, certainly our technology, hopefully our economics, and ideally our global communities, both as a whole and right down to the local level of each and every resident on this planet. But we must watch carefully to make sure this is a positive transformation. So as to Dr. Emoto's work, I have found that in my own borrowing of the good doctor's studies and his research, that water itself is a very precious element, not only in the material sense, but also transcending into the mental and spiritual realities and properties of the world in which we all share life. From working with a variety of elementals in my personal work, those consciences residing in the invisible realms, that of land and earth spirits, these vary vastly from location to location on this planet. From America, where I've lived in 3 different states, to Saudi Arabia, where I resided in Riyadh, and at length my final journey abroad to reside in Japan for several years, I have discovered a significant intelligence which essentially coexists with humanity on this sphere of existence, this wondrous reality in which we experience the space-time continuum together. Having said this, I can attest to the various experiences of my own journey, and those of my closest colleagues in the occult and paranormal, that specifically, water is truly unique, and perhaps so unique among the other elements, and that water is capable of remembering information, or observably so, even feelings, far more profoundly than any other material on this planet. Furthermore, my observances and participation with water, spiritual research, has yielded much more knowledge about this spiritual and mental aspect of water to me on a level of independent knowledge than I'd known prior to taking a keen interest in pursuing my own studies and some experiments after reading and contemplating the works of the late Dr. Masaru Emoto. For example, the intelligences I came into contact with, most sacred and powerfully in the lands of Arabia, and later, perhaps more so, in the mountains of Japan and its surrounding seas, were of varying sorts, and each one of these spirits or intelligences required unique sessions of communion, whereas the element of water seems to be a rather universal intelligence, for its spirit can be felt or detected by the sensitive individuals of this planet from coast to coast, country to country, nation to nation, from island to continent. And however, still, this presence of spiritual intelligence in water, albeit in some experiences of a higher spiritual compassion for life, has been strongest and most powerful in the islands on this planet, from Japan to the Philippines, to Taiwan, to Samoa, and to the Hawaiian. These attributes of spiritual life are present in the waters of this planet, and unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, our current society's activities are destroying our symbionts. Yes, our consequential relations across the globe, and nowhere else is this more profoundly true than in the depths of our planet's blue oceans, sadly to say. My initial journey into the testing of Dr. Emoto's work began for me in a series of divination and dowsing tests, namely dowsing and meditation with a variety of crystals, photographs of water crystals, jars of water, and then by the various aerial photographs of our planet's oceans, rivers, and lakes. My spiritual awakening became more profound, possibly in the powerful volcanic lands of Japan and the great waters of the Japan Sea and its many valley rivers, mountain springs, and so on. I think I always found a sense of inner peace while living abroad. And now I feel that that inner sense of peace has come with me, and I see it manifesting in the world. Despite much of the craziness we've seen on television and on the streets, I do think we are headed in a better direction now. So, I've began to consider the harmony and comfort that I found abroad in other peoples, and I've thought that it might have something possibly to do with the waters as well, surrounding and flowing through the various islands. My interest in the power of water took me in the direction of working with psychometric instruments such as the miraculous Prayer Board. I think most of you following me now are familiar with my story about Super Typhoon Neoguri, so I don't think that there's really a need to recap that, but overview here. With the miraculous Prayer Board, I began working to stem the power of typhoons, and that had to do with the geometry of the miraculous Prayer Board, where the pendulum held over that particular pattern close enough will refuse to rotate and comes to a stilling position because we're holding the pendulum over a balanced geometry. Later, I used a prayer board to bless oceans and waters, attempt to heal the mantle under the island, and commune with those intelligences surrounding remote mountain shrines. And of course, the overall spirit of nature, various animals that I came into contact with. I felt that my mind and my heart and my energies were open to nature in general. And I spent much time along the river nearest to our home, which was a shared river inside of a mostly Buddhist community. And I found a sense of peace. What I do know now is that our willingness to accept nature, its forces and spirits, our allies and companions in this life existence, is what will determine the outcome of the quality of our lives on this planet. These things are not so far removed from our other concerns in the world, such as the rise of artificial intelligence or fairer economies. No, quite to the contrary, actually. Where we decide to move forward today will determine our future and the futures of generations to come. What I offer to my good friends listening tonight is an opportunity to learn where I have left off with my research in psychometrics and to give you my blessings in the form of a very special instrument. Or not really my blessings. I'm sharing with you a blessing given to me when I had an experience of a hand reaching out from the sun and touching me on the crown of my head. And I was shown something very special. And I wrote about this in my book, The Miraculous Prayer Board Guide VPG2. Push your will into the oceans to see the planet healed. Do this, but also extend and reach out with your feelings of gratitude for this earth. And let all the earth know that you are making a reconnection with the power of the earth that is our home. With the Miraculous Prayer Board and the combo with the Operator's Manual and my book, The Miraculous Prayer Board Guide VPG2, I believe that these three essential things combined will give most people what you all need to begin expanding and reaching out with spiritual power and the talent of your thoughts via machine, your Miraculous Prayer Board instrument, which is the true essence of psionics. This planet is ours. So what are you all waiting for? Let's get started. Well, that concludes tonight's podcast. There's a whole lot more content for us to go over in the weeks to come. And hopefully we're all getting on board to do our best to make the world a better place. If not, it's never too late to start. Thank you for joining me tonight on Planet Vrilock Psionics Podcast, and until next time, as always, keep the magic high. This is Tom Vrilock, signing out.